This match is between Yale and Chicago B.
Who wrote it?
Damn right.
Happy is by
We're gonna win by 10.
Yes.
5. Dude, I've got twice as much as now.
I wrote like 2/3 of this packet because Kenji didn't write anything.
Oh god!
No! I
I'm
like
to go. Okay, so.
Nice.
Toss up 1. Francis Ursh earned the Medal of Honor during the Civil War for leading an assault on one of these structures owned by Moses McLean. It's not a house, but one of these structures was used by Patty Cannon to hold escaped slaves before she gave them back to their masters. Before his body was tossed into the Tallahatchie River, one of these structures was where Emmett Till was killed. Lizzie Borden was distressed after her father Andrew killed pigeons with a hatchet in one of these places. One of these structures owned by Richard H. Garrett was where John Wilkes lived.
Fuck a barn. That's
Exactly like that entire fucking time. Answer the following about Tarquin the Proud. The end for Tarquin's rule came when his son Sextus raped this woman, the wife of Lucius Tarquinius Collatinus, leading to her suicide. Under Tarquin, Lucius Junius Brutus held this office. These men commanded the king's namesake personal bodyguard. During the Roman Republic, their power was split between the master of infantry and the master of horse.
Right, horse.
No, it's Magister, I think.
Magister.
Yeah, and so master tribunes of these celeries. Tarquin became king by overthrowing this man, who was credited with the creation of the Comitalia festivals. This man was the first Roman king to accede without election for the Senate.
Serious noise.
20. Nice. 2. Sufferers of lung or breast cancer may have a paraneoplastic syndrome caused by the release of a hormone named for being related to this protein. That relative of this protein is also required for the differentiation of mammary glands. The body does not respond to this compound in a hereditary condition named for Albright that presents with identical systems to a pseudo condition named for this compound. Defects in the receptor for this hormone result in Jansen's metaphyseal chondrodysplasia. The first 34 amino acids of this 84 residue protein are required for function and make up the osteoporosis drug teriparatide. This compound is released from chief cells and binds to osteoblasts, which indirectly activates osteoclasts. For 10 points, -5. For 10 points, name this hormone that increases calcium levels by inducing bone resorption, which is released from a set of 4 glands found in the neck. Yes. Bonus. Perhaps the most famous example of this phenomenon is Lifesavers Pinto Green candies glowing in the dark when chewed. For 10 points each, name this effect in which material produces light when crushed or rubbed.
Something is
Answer.
phosphorescence.
Triboluminescence.
Triboluminescence.
Triboluminescence crystals that are disymmetric when pressure of this type is applied. This work more generally refers to the directional dependence of a material's properties.
Directional.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Symmetries of crystals can be described by these algebraic structures, which are sets of symmetry operations that leave the crystal structure invariant. There are 32 of these structures, which can be represented by split fleets or Hermann-Mogamic groups. Yes.
Yeah.
Also 3. This academic movement was the subject of the 1987 summary by Jonathan Turley that was couched as a hitchhiker's guide. Strong adherents of this movement completely rejected realism in formulating the indeterminacy thesis, a position attacked as a radical assault on truth in Daniel Farber and Susanna Sherry's book Beyond All Reason. This movement inspired the formation of a later and similarly named scholarly perspective by academics such as Mari Matsuda, Kimberley Williams Crenshaw, and Derek Bell. One of the founders of this scholarly movement argued that law school is intended
Race studies.
-5. It's intended to reproduce the structure of law firms in his monograph, Legal Education and the Reproduction of Hierarchy. Duncan Kennedy and Roberto Unger were founders of this movement that spawned a similarly named race theory. For 10 points, what kind of studies in American law scholarship was inspired by a Frankfurt School theory?
Critical.
Critical legal.
That's rude.
Wait, Curtis, would you be would you be a bronze?
Toss up 4. Responding to a work by this sculptor discussed in Mary Sheriff's Moved by Love, a critic wrote, "Animator of the gods, if they have animated the statue, you have renewed the miracle by animating the sculptor." That sculpture by this artist shows a Cupid kissing the hand of a woman standing on the pedestal as her creator kneels in front of her. this sculptor created his bather and small figurines of children based on François Boucher paintings while working at the Sèvres manufactory. This artist of Pygmalion and Galatea contributed his reflections on the sculpture to the encyclopedia of his friend Denis Diderot. The student of Jean-Baptiste Lemoine had his own daughter-in-law, Marie-Anne Collot, model the face.
Okay.
Your bonus. The speaker of a poem from Human Dark with Sugar calls this thing a kind of ancient Greek drug because its functions are to confusingly modulate the spoon-feeding longing. Question 1 teach in this night sky option that is told the sun is worth empathy and the aforementioned poem by Brenda Shaughnessy. The funeral host W.H. Auden demands that we pack up this object and dismantle the sun. Yes. This English poet wrote that our every corpuscle became an elf in her poem, Or Over the Moon. His close friend of Juna Barnes wrote parturition, contributed to the Dada Journal of the Blind Man, and wrote a feminist manifesto. Ina Lloyd. This author drew on Philip Sidney's line, with how sad steps, O moon, thou climbst the skies, for his poem Sad Steps. This librarian at the University of Hull described a misery that he thinks like a coastal shell in a 1971 poem. Answer fair. Philip Larkin, 10.
Oh, yeah, I was thinking Larkin. He's definitely not sure enough.
Toss-up 5. In a play in this language, the female lead and a libertine repeatedly exclaim, "Look, look," as they exchange poems about a store.
Sorry.
While standing under an umbrella held by a maid, Act 2 of a play in this language opens with the words "damn, damn, damn," spoken by a clown, who then complains about having to follow the protagonist. The proper dimensions of square, rectangular, and triangular playhouses are laid out in a dramaturgical treatise in this language, which holds that a play should evoke one of 8 dominant flavors, such as the pathetic or the heroic. In a play in this language, a person fulfills a boy's wish for a golden version of his only painting by filling it with jewels. In another play in this language used to write the little play part, a woman is cursed by an old sage, to whom she forgets to offer food, but a safe woman ring is found in the belly of the cart. At points in this language used by Shudraka. You are a ballet dancer rising up onto the tips of your toes.
Okay.
Being on the tips of your toes is known by this French term.
Oh,
The actual raising of your body from up to the A is known by this other French term. In the French school, it is done with a smooth, continuous rise, while the Russian school uses a little spring.
relevant.
Yep. Releve is done with a little spring in the ballet method named for this Italian man. After 5 years of running a private ballet school in London, he returned to Italy and became ballet master at La Scala.
Sacheti.
You just got tomorrow.
Ballet bonuses. Right.
After selling a former advisor's estate, one ruler of this city forced Arete, the wife of that former advisor, to marry Timocrates. Another ruler of this city apparently drank himself to death after killing like Syracuse. Yes. The basic laws of this subject title, a work whose basic law 5 was shown to be subject to a set paradox in a letter that Bertrand Russell wrote to his author while the second volume was at the printing presses. Present one teaching a specific subject whose foundations titled arithmetic.
Yeah.
The foundations of arithmetic and the basic laws of arithmetic are keywords of logician's philosophy of mathematics by this German thinker. Michael Dummett pinpointed paragraph 62 of Frege's Foundations of Arithmetic as the start of this event, which he identified with the birth of analytic philosophy.
The linguistic term.
7. A paper that opened by wondering whether recent work on this position would be any more embarrassing if it had been secretly penned by conservatives criticizes Philippe Parais' and Richard Arneson's version of it. Nagel argued that this doctrine should be based on urgency, with the example of a family who must choose whether to move for the benefit of a handicapped child or a healthy one. An example critiqued in the Harry Frankfurt paper that proposes the doctrine of sufficiency as an alternative to this position. Elizabeth Anderson attacked versions of this position that focused on correcting for misfortune, dubbing that the block type of this position. The title of Amartya Sen's Tanner Lectures asks what metric this position should focus on, and Gorkin discussed types of this position oriented towards resources and welfare, which at points in this broad position that holds that people should get the same or be treated the same way. Yes.
Okay. Good. That's perfect.
After a character in this play is toasted with "Vive la différence" to end one scene, the next scene opens with him saying, "You see, they toast me. I've become patron saint of the socially inept," which I want to teach. In this play, in which the imprisoned diplomat René Gallimard claims to have known and been loved by the perfect woman and recalls the treason he committed while working in a French embassy during the 1960s.
It's one of those hard ones.
No, it's two.
Answer.
3 minutes.
M. Butterfly. In
Shit.
David Henry Hwang's M. Butterfly, Gallimard's lover, Song Li-ling, is revealed as a man who takes female roles and works of this form in taking. Hwang is written librettos for works of this form by Philip Glass. To pacify Gallimard about his insistence that they make love only in the dark, Song gives him one of these things supplied by Conrad Chin,
Sure, fine.
a baby.
Wait, what?
It's a completely different object.
I've never
Concept 8. One model of these systems was developed by Cholet and Cloutier and considers bypassing and stagnancy. Two related quantities in these systems are related by a convolution interval with a function symbolized E of t. In the ideal case, the first moment of E of t is equal to a ratio of volume and flow rate if there are no dead zones in these systems. Dankworth's boundary conditions may be used when modeling these systems. Levenskill plots and the Down-Kohler both
chemical reactors.
Nice.
That's good.
A neodymium doped form of this substance serves as media and laser that emits 1064 nanometer radiation, which is often frequency double to emit green light 10 points each. Need a synthetic garnet that must be doped to have any practical use. A cerium doped variant serves as a phosphor used in cathode ray tubes and mercury vapor lamps.
Definitely, yeah.
An ND-YAG laser is used in this form of atomic emission spectroscopy that atomizes and excites samples using laser pulses. Answer. Laser-induced breakdown spectroscopy.
Fucking awesome.
Atomic emission spectroscopy is used for this more general task of determining the chemical composition of some substance. CHN analysis performs this task using combustion reactions.
What's that called? That's what that's called.
Elemental analysis.
Yes.
Yeah. Good.
Concept 9. This man's love of James McPherson's Ossian poems prompted him to commission the painting Ossian conjures up the ghosts of his race on the banks of the Laura, as well as a painting in which Ossian welcomes the heroes who died for their homeland in the War of Liberty into paradise. This man's dislike of neoclassical themes dominated by mythology and allegory prompted him to order a painter to remove the figure of victory hovering over some soldiers depicted as Charles V, in the painting distribution of the Eagle Standards. Because this man had poor eyesight, he chose paintings for his own collection based on the judgment of Baron Denon. Denon was appointed to head a museum that this man renamed after himself, after this man ordered a campaign that captured many artifacts from Egypt. For 10 points, named his former namesake of the Louvre, Jacques Louis David painted at the Centre Mark Ashcroft Yale. Bonus. A very large one of these items connects the two married couple rocks known as Meoto Iwa that represent Izanagi and Izanami. Give this Japanese term for lengths of rope made of dry straw or hemp that are often festooned with a streamer known as a shige and are used to demarcate the boundaries of Shinto holy places.
Yeah, no.
Oki.
No, it's
Okitori.
Shimenawa.
Shimenawa.
A couple rocks contain one of these holy beads that also mark the boundary between the secular and secret places in Shinto. The married couple rocks are found on the coast near this shrine complex, which is torn down and rebuilt every 20 years and is dedicated to Amaterasu.
good. Yeah, that's what we're looking at. Yes.
10. After meeting this poet, a boy named Lucas who spontaneously recites his works deliberately beats himself with the factory machine that killed his brother. A detective named Catherine tries to stop a series of suicide bombings by children who recite this poet in the story The Children's Crusade. This poet's work forms a motif in the stories that form Michael Cunningham's novel Specimen Days. A poem by this man is set at a time when the lilac scent was in the air and fifth-month grass was growing, and describes two feathered guests from Alabama. This poet wrote of people singing what belongs to him for her and to none else, the day what belongs to the day, and a poem about the varied carols he heard in the title place. The phrase "the sea whispered me" ends a poem by this man about the low and delicious word death, and the mockingbirds throw the musical shuttle. For 10 points, name this poet of I Hear America Singing.
God damn it.
Nice.
This court case was the first to develop the idea of constitutional avoidance, which holds that federal courts should refuse to solve a case that could be solved on a non-constitutional basis. 10 points each. Name this case that upheld the Tennessee Valley Authority's creation of the Wilson Dam in the face of an injunction against it from Judge William Irwin Grubb.
This is like, what was it called?
Answer.
Perkins.
Ashwinder v. Tennessee Valley Authority. Naturally, the injunction was blasted by this Nebraska senator who was the prime sponsor of the TVA Act. He also co-sponsored a 1932 anti-injunction bill with Fiorello LaGuardia that outlawed yellow dog contracts. Yes, of course. Yes. This man was the co-director and first chairman of the Tennessee Valley Authority, and also the first chairman of the Atomic Energy Commission, in which role he co-authored a 1946 report on controlling atomic energy with He's like
Mr. TVA. What was his
answer. David Eli Lilienthal.
name?
yeah.
Lilienthal.
So
Lilienthal.
If I just want somebody around.
Okay, so at the half, I have Yale with 140, and I have Chicago State with 100.
And we have a Perkins.
Yep, I marked that.
Yeah, so that's right on that.
And the swing on the contest is plus 40.
He said,
Said critical.
critical. Yeah, after the end of the toss.
And
should have,
yeah.
he would have passed critical.
It's a reasonable protest. I think your chances are even greater. Yeah.
Protest early and protest often.
Good idea.
No, that was fine. Also 11. After the Birmingham church bombing, a mentor of this man cured him of racism by saying that it doesn't have to do with race. John Brown was a righteous man who put his life on the line for our welfare. A memoir by this man recounts his years of study and ultimate falling out with Hamas Abdul Khalis, whose family was killed at the house that this man bought for use as a gun range. In that memoir, written with his childhood friend Peter Milgler, this man also described how after his house burned down and his thousands of jazz records melted, Dan sent him new records. In 2016, this man and collaborator Anna Barhouse published a detective novel titled Mycroft Holmes. The 1983 book Giant Steps is a memoir by this man, whose decision to boycott the 1968 Olympics is discussed in his 2017 book, Coach Wooden and Me.
Let's go. Fuck.
Time.
No,
Critical force when it's not.
Okay. I barely heard it, but
Is that correct?
yeah,
that's correct. Yeah, yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Why do that? I'm sorry, I should leave you out.
I
can't believe it.
Yeah.
Freeman Abdul in 1968. Yeah,
that's
it's
fucking old.
super real. Yes. Freeman Abdul.
Bonus.
Oh.
The legend of this object is traced to Cicero's Tusculan Disputation, which itself borrows from the histories of Timaeus of Tauromenium and Plantation, identified this sharp object named for a man in the court of Dionysius II of Syracuse. To teach the man about the burdens of power, Dionysius sat him in a golden couch over which this object hung.
The sword of Damocles.
Another man from Syracuse, Menecrates, was so confident of his skill in medicine that he referred to himself as this god. Because Salmonius desired to be worshipped as this Greek deity, the god killed him with a thunderbolt.
What?
With a thunderbolt.
I mean, yeah, but how is that?
Answer.
Yeah, it's
I guess.
Zeus.
God damn
The
it!
equivalent of the sword of Damocles metaphor refers to the rock of this man, who some sources state was allowed to live forever with a boulder hanging over his head.
So long.
I didn't even know it's where I
Answer.
Sisyphus.
Tantalus.
Angela. Oh, of course it was.
Yeah.
It's rocks.
What?
I can tell you. Well, I'm sure to give an answer about these, so.
I think so.
According to legend, a woman sent off on horseback to marry a ruler of these people, gained her name because a flock of geese forgot to flap their wings and dropped to the ground on hearing her sad song. And the empire of these people was founded by a man who ordered any of his 10,000 soldiers to be beheaded if they failed to fire upon spotting his arrowhead, which he tested by killing his own wife and then his father. One leader of these people, Hu Han Ye, engaged in a civil war with his brother, who was defeated at the Battle of Zhi. These people fell in battle after Chen Ping bribed the wife of their founder, the son of Tou Man, who had united these people against the armies of Meng Tian. That founder, Mo Du, was named the first Chen Yu of these people, who often participated in He Qin for marriage alliances with the Han dynasty. For 10 points, name these nomadic Asian people who threatened China from the Mongolian steppe, leading to the construction of the Great Wall. Yes. The second movement of this symphony is derived from an earlier concerto that the composer wrote for two lire organizzate for 10 points each. Named a symphony in which Haydn brought the simple triangle and bass drum from Turkish Janissary famously to the orchestra. It is nicknamed for its prominent trumpet dancer. Like Johann Nepomuk, Haydn wrote a concerto for trumpet in this major key, which is shared by Haydn's Opus 33 number 2 string quartet called Joe.
Okay, so Hummel is in E major, but his is in E flat.
Well, what do you want?
The second movement of this Haydn symphony is a set of variations based on a theme introduced by solo oboe and cello in octaves. Like the Oxford, it is in G major and is written between the Paris and the London symphonies.
Oh, 91.
88.
Jesus Christ, 91 is also.
Is there like a name?
No.
The letter B. Letter B. A lot of the symphonies.
That's all. It should have said 91 is also in the symphony.
That was not my bonus, Jacob.
I don't think it's Concept 13. This process was studied using the King and Wells method by Cambridge researchers who developed a simple crystal calorimeter to measure the heat released by it. The Clausius-Clapeyron equation can be used to derive the isosteric heat of this process, symbolized Q sub St, and this process's inverse can be modeled using the Polanyi-Wigner equation. An alternative to cryogenic distillation is known by the pressure swing type of this process. A simple model for this process was extended to multiple layers of material by Brunauer, Emmett, and Teller.
Adsorption.
A novel of this movement is about the English woman Clara who regularly visits a prison in Canton to watch the torture of the inmates. Rencontre named this movement of French literature, exemplified by Octave Mirbeau's The Torture Garden, which is often held to have begun with Joris Carl Huysmans' novel about the ascetic Jean des Essens.
Sorry, I thought it would just be like a synthesis in potential. It's decadent.
Yes.
Good.
One of Octave Mirbeau's evident novels is presented as the diary of one of these people who encounters the brute fetishist Monsieur Ragout. Eric Auerbach's Ulysses devotes a chapter to the preface of the Goncourt brothers novel about a person of his profession, Jeremy D. Lacerteau, the so-called the first scientific novel.
Oh my god. You want to go to my doctor? Check my doctor.
AIDS. A female author of decadent fiction, Rachel, wrote an 1887 novel titled for a female version of this person. This 18th century author depicted violent sexual acts in books such as Justine and
Yep, side.
20. 14. A linguist with this surname identified don't impose, give it options, and make your receiver feel good as the three maxims of the politeness principle. A second to apply linguist with this surname includes hypercorrect grammar, super polite forms, and hedges of various kinds as among the 9 modes of women's language. Language War and Language and Woman's Place are books by a linguist with this surname. With Mark Johnson, a linguist with this surname, argued that statements such as
Okay, that's sure. Names go
Roll by
on
roll.
halfway through.
Ruin my toss.
Yeah, that's.
bonus. A Q expansion of a function named for this letter has coefficients that can be written as a linear combination of the dimensions of irreducible representations of the largest sporadic simple group, the Fisher-Grease monster group. In this letter, used for the unit vector in the y direction, it also represents the column of a matrix element.
Yes. J. Yeah.
This theory came about after John McKay observed that the second coefficient of the Fourier expansion of the J function was one more than the dimension of the Grease algebra. It was named by John Conway and Simon.
Yeah, it is monstrous.
Electrical engineers commonly use J to represent this quantity because the more common symbols are used for different quantity in circuit analysis.
This is such a dumb.
Can we get a start, please?
That was 30 points in the bonus.
Yes, like,
260 to 95.
I had burned up too much knowledge because I hate
come on,
just never
let's get in the game, guys. We made a couple like very.
There are too many.
We made a couple like it's alright, you know, like I just goes that job and toss up. Like we're really not out of it. So you have to remember that like we have a protest pending. We're down to 165
So how many?
260 to 95.
Yeah, like
Oh, yeah.
I think we'll win our we're probably only now like
Well, no, throw just got
Yeah, I made a toss up.
So guys, I used like we are for this music toss-up on Haydn's
160, 100 from 11.
I did
I
write
like
that
to
up.
At 12, I got
You're
190.
really quick.
So 195.
Oh, that's where we disagree, so I obviously.
I wrote better.
Okay. They got 20 on 12. Yeah.
That would be fun. It's not. That's it.
This symphony is broad. Do you really need
The
to?
library.
That was the music bonus.
They got 20.
2 weeks ago, I would have been able to sing the anthem.
That's this week I can only do 90.
Yes.
You can sing to me.
I've seen a lot of Also, this work imagines the author's country rousing herself like a strong man after sleep in a passage that also compares that country to an people viewing her mighty youth. This work compares what a wicked race of deceivers did to the lovely form of a certain allegorical figure while the apostles were asleep to Plutarch's account of the Egyptian Typhon tearing up and scattering Osiris. This work claims that he that can apprehend and consider life with all her baits and seeming pleasures and yet abstain is the true wayfaring Christian, and later argues, let truth and falsehood grapple, whoever do truth but put to the worse in a free and open encounter. This treatise claims that he who destroys a good book.
There's a good count.
Yes.
Oh, that's good.
14, bonus. An employee of this company authored a memo criticizing its ideological echo chamber, which cited David Schmidt's research on sex differences in personality and Richard Lito's review on differences in neuroticism. Credential teaching this tech company that fired James Damore for sharing that memo on diversity policies on an internal mailing list. This psychologist expressed sympathy for Damore over his firing, despite criticizing research that attributes gender equality to innate differences in books such as Delusions of Gender and Testosterone Rex.
I guess Peterson if nobody guesses. Peterson?
Cordelia Fine.
Oh,
Damore cited and Fine criticized this psychologist's theories that women are more interested in empathizing than systemizing. He conjectured that autism spectrum disorders result from an extreme male brain. Simon Darrenville.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a little strong call to you for
Brother,
psychologist.
I think that's his profession.
Specialized.
Can't work in here.
A mass by this composer features the motif in the bass voice of a falling fifth from E to A. The fact that yes.
It's the mass me by Octagon.
And
It's
this essay was published under the pseudonym K. Freigedank, which means K. Free Thought. Pretend once each name this essay, published in a magazine founded by Robert Schumann, which ends by telling a certain group of people to undergo regenerative work of deliverance through self-annulment, and that they can only lift their curse by the redemption of Ahasuerus.
I mean, it's got to be because they're talking thing. Yeah, it's on Jewish music.
Yeah, Judaism.
No.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Jewish music was an essay by this composer.
Wagner.
This man's wife Ava was the illegitimate daughter of Richard Wagner by the wife of Hans von Bülow. This British-born German philosopher wrote several books on Wagner before turning his attention to the supposed threat that Jews posed to Aryan culture in Foundations of the 19th century.
What? Oh, no, it's not Goblin. Goblin.
Houston Stewart Chamberlain.
Is that a philosophy bonus or the
I wrote it as academic other.
According to Pausanias, this object was brought to Attica, where, in the confusion of night, Demophon took it by force from the visiting Argives. Because Demophon's horse was accidentally trampled and to death on his way home, the Athenian court for involuntary homicide was named this object. While carrying this thing, one man escaped death after noticing, in the moonlight, the shadow of his companion as the latter raised his sword to strike him. This artifact was brought by the Pleiad Electra to its traditional home, where her son Dardanus received it. Its namesake,
Palladium?
yes.
Nice, I'll see you.
Yeah, I'm saying that too.
Bonus, the Palais de Pop is located in the city, the namesake of a time period that included the burning of Jacques de Molay and the dissolution of the Knights Templar by Philip IV. Return plantation in this French city where the papacy was based after Ferdinand V refused to return to Rome.
I didn't know.
Saint Catherine of Siena persuaded his pope to move the papacy back to Rome. His pope also hired John Hopwood to fight on his behalf in the War of the Eight Saints.
I think this is Martin V. Martin V.
Okay.
Pope Gregory VII. Catherine of Siena's letters claim that this process occurred between her and Jesus at age 21, and was signified not with a gold ring, but with Jesus' foreskin.
Yeah.
Marriage.
Spiritual marriage?
Celestial marriage?
Mystical marriage.
Mystical.
Oh!
She drank blood. During a battle in this war, one side allegedly looted a warehouse full of rum and fell over drunk during a failed invasion of Martinique, after which Thomas Claude Renard defeated a ground force led by the Count of Styron. During this war, Julien Ernutz turned the cannons of Fort Pentabout on its own walls to demolish it, and the Red Cloak of Saint-Hilaire was used as a target by the artillery of Raimondo Montecuccoli in the run-up to the Battle of Salzbach. One side in this war took advantage of its namesake water line, and conceived of by Maurice of Nassau. This war included the death of the Vicomte de Turenne, the de Witt brothers, at the hands of a lynchmob. At its conclusion, the territories of Franche-Comté and Maastricht were exchanged under the Treaty of Nijmegen. One side separately Rondiar or disaster.
Afraid the Dutch one.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Which one of those three?
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
One of these figures titles a novel in which Morrow is hired to authenticate stolen paintings. The last entry of a loosely linked series with the Book of Evidence and Ghosts for 10 points each. Name these figures who observed Arden House where the mathematician Adam Godley lies dying. In a 2009 novel narrated by one of them.
Oh my God.
Angels.
Greek gods. The author of Athena and the Infinities, John Mandeville, is a contemporary writer from this country. Other novelists from this country include Holm,
Ireland.
In the Infinities, Adam Godley's work has allowed the development of horrors that run on the substance taken from this place. This place follows Mandeville's novel about the murderous memories of the Grace family. And Charles Harrowby stars in Snyder's
The sea and the sea. The sea.
Concept 19. Holm and Elobodorov developed a mechanical model to explain observations of these phenomena in terms of forward and reverse shocks. The achromatic breaks in the light curves of these phenomena provide evidence for strong collimation. These phenomena are divided into prompt emission and afterward
Gamma bursts.
Nice.
Nice.
Bonus. Bacterial resistance mechanisms to these compounds are the basis of an inducible gene expression system relying on the TRE element. Name this class of antibiotics that prevent the binding of amino-acyl tRNAs to the A site. Answer. Tetracyclines. Tetracyclines inhibit translation by binding to the 30S subunit of these structures, which are responsible for the roughness of the rough endoplasmic ribosome. The consumption of expired tetracyclines can cause this disease in which resorption in the proximal tubules is impaired, resulting in excessive amount of excretion of glucose and bicarbonate. In children, this condition is most often caused due to cystinosis.
Is this maple syrup?
Okay.
Maple syrup disease?
Fanconi syndrome.
Go.
What did we get on that?
10. Final toss-up. A novel titled for one of these places opens by listing objects such as a toy water pistol and a comb that were found in the stomach of Roland the Walrus. That novel by the author of The Ministry of Pain, Dubravka Ugresic, is titled for one of these places of unconditional surrender. While writing a novel about one of these places, the author created a real version of it that is included in a 2012 photo whose image titles such as To Entertain a Small Hope That Might Allay My Heartache are taken from the novel's chapter titles. In that novel titled for one of these places, the narrator steals China Museum.
Oh, yeah.
I'll do this.
What?
Yeah.
Answer the following about Japanese art painted on gyobu or decorative voting screens. In a pair of voting screens by Ogata Hori, a river separates two of these fruit trees. One of Hiroshima's 100 famous views of Edo, later copied by Van Gogh, is a close-up view of the sleeping dragon tree of this type at Kanbedo.
Cherry.
Okay.
Cherry.
Plum tree. A leader of this school of art named Kei Toku created a screen painting of Chinese lions for Toyotomi Hideyoshi. It was the dominant school of Japanese art for nearly 400 years, starting in the Ashikaga shogunate.
I should know if I don't.
Answer. Conrail School. Several screen paintings from different eras depict chapters like Purple Trousers and Boat on the Water from this Heian era novel by Lady Murasaki.
Alright, I should know there's a plum.
Cherry for Yale, 170.
We're going to
Like astrophysicists.
Bad history player.
Alright.
Oh, okay.
Go find a bathroom.
Sorry,
Just